Hey, everybody, this is Mike Bellbauer coming to you from the Flagler Voice podcast studio. And today on the Flagler County Drug Court Foundation podcast, we have a guest with us who is currently in the Flagler County Drug Court program, and I'll introduce you to him in just a moment. So, everybody, have a good listen. We're here to bring hope to the community, bring education to the community, and as other guests have mentioned here on the show, that no one has come on this particular podcast has been involved in addiction themselves personally that ever had the desire to become an addict, which is something that most of the community doesn't understand. Everybody thinks it was really just a choice. No one chose to become an addict. They might have chose to try something, cover up pain, whatever it was, but not with the idea of being addicted to it. So we're going to bring you Kyle as a guest here this morning. Kyle is currently in the drug court program and doing extremely well. So everybody, please say hi to Kyle. You're on. Picture and all.
All right, Mike, it's good to be here. It's an great opportunity to be on this podcast. A message of hope. I mean, I'm going to try my best. I mean, nothing but good stuff happening in my life because I'm applying myself and learning all kinds of new things about my life and how to live it, integrate things in my recovery. So I've learned a lot through the drug court program, just being in this environment down here in a great community and being, active in my community in a positive way. Everything is going pretty good. So, I have no complaints. Yes, I'm originally from Akron, or right outside of Akron, Ohio. Wayne County to be specific, and I moved here about 3 years ago. But to say to everybody that geographical cure does not work, wherever I go, I take me with me. So from up there, I had a history of addiction and some charges and stuff, and then I thought maybe if I do things a little bit differently, I can move to a different spot and everything would be okay. Well, that's not true for me. So yeah, I can't really say what the underlying cause of my addiction is. I'm still trying to figure that out. But, it is an addiction. And, just to start from whenever I was younger, I had a pretty good life. My family divorced. My mom and my dad divorced when I was about 4 years old. And me explaining all this, I'm trying to get pieces and remember all of it and put it all together, but it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just kind of like a basic outline saying that addiction does not discriminate. So, I come from a pretty good household, loving family. Father worked hard all his life, and he supported us children. So growing up, I'm not sure what led me to the drugs. I would say at first, I was in high school and I was in sports. Everything was fine. I was pretty popular, but that doesn't matter. It's just that after I think I was a junior in high school, I got into an accident and I was prescribed, prescription medication that I was able to abuse at the time. I didn't know anything about addiction at the time, so I overindulged in that, abused it with friends, and it became like a habit at that time. But it didn't really kind of set in like addiction, so like an everyday use where it would make my life unmanageable. So I was in relationships, here and there, and then me over the time of abusing, prescription medicine, and then thinking it was okay, and that was just something that I could run to. And then when a certain traumatic thing happened in my life, or any kind of traumatic event happened, that was the thing that I would go to. So once I realized that, hey, this is what I can do, it's okay, I felt safe then, I felt good about it, then I took it to the max. And then too long after that, I experienced my first overdose. So from then on out is whenever I started getting involved with the law and going to court and trying to figure things out there, trying to do things successfully. I got to say, even though it's irrelevant as of right now to my life, but I would say just to let everybody know that I've been either incarcerated or away from my family or an institution probably for the 3 years of my life, my whole life. So I was away from my family trying to pick up the necessary tools to integrate in my life to be able to live sober and clean. And then during high school and then even after high school, I've lost two of my best friends to addiction. So I still have a chance to be able to make something of myself and to live my life the best I can. So, it's on life terms, of course, so it's not always going to be perfect, but God has a purpose and a plan for me, so I'm going to be able to, try to take a hold of that. Like I say, take a hold of the eternal life to which I am called. So, and then learning things along the way, it's a great path, and of recovery, I should say. And each time that I fall down, I got to get back up, and I learn something different each time. So, I say relapse is part of recovery, and I probably relapsed about 10 times, overdosed probably about 7 times, and I'm still here, and I'm grateful to be here. And people look at me, in general, and say, you're not the type of person that I would expect to be in addiction, but, I was an IV drug user after, long period of time of going from the prescription medication to being introduced to illicit substances to, being where I was at, I would just say around a year ago. I'm a year clean now. I'm trying again. And then the difference between up in Ohio's judicial system and down here, like the drug court program was amazing. Up there, they just kind of just throw you into these classes and just kind of just watch you and see how you do. But down here, I have the opportunity to learn, to be in a great community. I'm part of this team. All the participants, we all look over and watch over each other as best as we can. We have classes, and we're really close with the judge, and then they're able to help and give us the guidance and give me the guidance to be able to be part of my community in a positive way, whether it's giving out Narcan or just doing better things with my life than I was before. Like, I'm not complacent. I have a busy schedule. At first, it was overwhelming, but getting used to everything and knowing I'm doing the right thing, it feels good, and I get rewarded every day.
Yeah, you said something very important a little while ago, that you felt that people will look at you and say, well, I can't picture you as an addict. Well, there's another thing that the community doesn't understand. It's the old thing, you can't judge a book by its cover, and whether the cover is fancy, shiny, holding a very expensive book, or a little paper copy. Okay, you can't judge it. So, but they all have a perception that a drug addict, alcoholic, all look the same because they've been watching too much of Hollywood. We're not talking about, and I say this at every broadcast that we put together, every podcast, it's not about the back alleys of New York, Chicago, LA, Dallas, Houston, that you're seeing the movies. It's about real life, real people from all walks. It has no boundaries.
No.
Addiction follows from the super rich to the ultra poor. It's not all down at the lower end. When we talk about the amount of overdoses that have been taking place in Flagler County over the last several years, where at some point in time we were the second highest overdose county in the state, up to the 10th. We've had some ups and downs through that time. We were the second highest overdose death county at one point. And people say, well, that all took place in those other parts of the county. No, most of it took place in Palm Coast, in the beautiful part. So they look at that, and they look at the people, and they have the same misperception.
Mm-hmm.
We need to work on that. And folks like yourself, and being able, when you're down at First Friday helping us out at the booth and you're talking to people, they're getting to understand that perception more. You can't judge by just looking, okay? You can judge by talking, listening. You can judge by actions, okay? The old expression, actions are louder than, words, just not, it's got to be, you got to see it.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you from the Drug Court Foundation's point of view of you being very helpful. You being there to help us at First Friday or any other time that if there's something you can do to help us and you're available based on your schedule, you're there. You're also helping other participants, which we recognize. You're able to give some of them rides, talk to, guidance, that kind of stuff, encouraging. And that's all important, as you said, as a group, as your family out there, the drug court participants is part of your family, being that person that can be there to help. But I've also recognized the fact that you've seen things that you said, okay, I can't be there for that. I've got to step back from that. And that's super important, Because as you're going through the recovery process, you got to understand it's you first and others next. Being able to do for others during the process is great. But if it takes away from you on your concentration, then it's not good. And I've seen you be able to do that. We talked about this last Friday, that you were trying to help somebody else, and you found out, well, this is not going to be a good place for me to be, and made that decision. You weren't angry about it. You weren't raving all over the place about it. You just said, I recognize something that will not be good for me. I got to concentrate on that. And the drug court team recognizes those things, as you heard from the judge this week.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, I'm really happy at the progress you've been making.
Thank you.
You're doing everything that you need to do and doing it well. I know your family's involved. I got the opportunity to meet your dad last week.
Shout
Friday.
out to Greg, my dad.
Great guy.
Yeah.
He jumped in there with everybody else trying to help people and talk to him there. So I'm sure this is a good thing for that too, because now you're bringing your family back in. Okay. He told an incredible story. I don't know if you're comfortable in talking about it or not. If you're not, you don't. About some stuff that's going on in your life while you're involved in the world of addiction.
Okay, yeah, I don't mind sharing it all. Yeah, because there's a few things I wanted to touch on that you said. So you're saying about how, addiction is not just in the back alleys of Chicago or New York.
Yeah.
No, it's everywhere. And so Palm Coast is a pretty nice place. I was just in Wayne County, I was in the farm, and there was just a lot of land out there, country, but it was really bad, everywhere. Like I said, I lost my two best friends during the epidemic that got really bad. I graduated high school in 2014, and then right after that, the epidemic got horrible and everybody was dropping. Well, they're a part of the statistics that fell. So, as of down here, it's all over the place. We had a timeshare down in Volusia.
Yeah, you're not talking about the COVID. You're talking about the drug epidemic. I believe.
The drug epidemic.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm saying it doesn't discriminate. It was everywhere, and it touched a lot of people's lives. I'm just going to share on this real quick, then we'll move on with,
Whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay, yeah. So, so I come down here. It's a pretty nice place. It's a nice area. And like I said, we had a timeshare. Our family did on Volusia. And then Daytona Beach, they said it was the best, the world's most famous beach and stuff. And it's still nice. But as the years go by, as drugs have touched the community, you can see that it's everywhere, and it's sad in a way. My point is so being part of recovery in Flagler County, I have this great opportunity of being here. I've learned more about the community and how drugs touch a lot of people's lives in a negative way. And so, for instance, we were passing out Narcan at the first Friday, and we handed out a bunch of boxes. A lot of people didn't know what Narcan was. So it's, for anybody out there, you should know it basically counteracts an overdose from an opiate. So helps you basically, not overdose, for someone to be able to come save your life potentially. So I was just sharing all that information with people, and I took a couple boxes to my work because it was at a resort, and who knows if someone's going to say, what's wrong with this person? Well, I would be able to know, and I taught a lot of people about what Narcan does and how it can save lives. So it's just interesting how, a lot of this new generation is just no one really knows what it is. But then again, addiction is a huge thing. So if we can spread that information any way we can, then that's a great thing. So there's a lot of people who don't know about addiction and the recovery. So this is able to kind of spread the word there also. But I think you were saying you want me to touch on the story that my dad shared at First Friday.
If you're comfortable with it.
That's fine. It was a really turning point in my life. So I was abusing heroin and fentanyl. Well, I think fentanyl wasn't that huge then, but basically the point is it was a horrible drug. And then I wasn't really too aware of anything, not the withdrawal symptoms, not basically the abuse and how it would take my life, especially 15 years later, because this was about 15 years ago. So this is also the first time that I was able to get charged with with possession charge. But the point is that, so I was using one night. I was at my house up in Ohio, and then it was about midnight, a time where everybody would be sleeping. And then I thought everything was going to be okay, so I used some heroin basically. And then my door was locked, and I was in my bathroom, and my bathroom was locked. And then all of a sudden my brother, he didn't live with us at the time, so he just randomly stopped by the house. Just, I don't know if it was a gut feeling or if he was just around, but he stopped by at the house at midnight. So that was very unlikely. So he comes down to my bedroom door and then he starts knocking on the door. And then he realizes that something might be wrong. So he breaks down my door and then knocks on my bathroom door, breaks down the bathroom door, and I was there laying on the floor dead, basically. I can't say that I was dead, but my lips were blue. Basically, if anybody's experienced an overdose, that's it. I fit that whole part there, basically. So he started yelling for my dad, and then we didn't have any Narcan in the house. Didn't really know what it was, so we called the ambulance. I guess they came by, and I was already on the ground for quite a while. My brother's beating on my chest. He's crying, and my dad's freaking out. Thought he lost his baby boy. My brother thought he lost me, and it was probably a very traumatic experience for them. Obviously, I wasn't there to remember it, so whenever they brought me back, they said that they used like a bunch of Narcan on me, and then it had to go to the point where they had to give me an adrenaline shot. I woke up in the hospital, and I didn't really know what was going on, and they're all like, "Oh my gosh, he's still alive." But the disease of addiction is so horrible that I went through that traumatic experience, like after the fact, my family kind of explained to me what it was. Not only that, but I didn't feel too good after my chest was beaten, So then waking up and the reaction from the Narcan, and like it was so much of it, and the adrenaline shot, it was a horrible feeling. And of course that guilt that, that I just did this in front of my family and they brought me back. So after going through all of that addiction basically and the disease of it, it wasn't enough to say, hey, maybe you should stop doing this. I continued to do it. And then I even got charged that night because they found, some paraphernalia and stuff. So I got a charge out of that. And then that's when I started diving into treatment centers. Went to a spiritual program, the 9-month treatment facility up in Ohio, and I had to do that 3 times over the next 5 years, basically. So there were some times I was trying to get up on my feet and be clean. And then I would just get complacent after those times. And I didn't really actually work my recovery and be around my community. I kind of just thought, oh, okay, I cured this by going to treatment, and then I'm going to be okay. No, recovery is a lifelong thing, and sometimes even now it kind of overwhelms me. Just like, man, I have to treat this for the rest of my life. But in a way the way I kind of see it as, well, there's 2 things. If I'm ever feeling overwhelmed about it, which I really shouldn't be because it's a blessing just to be in recovery, but that just for the whole just for today thing it's just like that cliche. Well, I don't have to deal with this for the rest of my life. I just got to take care of today, and today looks pretty good. Tomorrow looks pretty good. So, and then, that's even tell some of my family that, like, Kyle, how do we know that you're not going to use for the rest of your life? And I'd just be honest with them. It's like, well, it's not for the rest of my life. I can't promise you that, but if I take care of the day, tomorrow looks pretty good. So they look at that and they're just astounded by it, and it's amazing. And it's just like, well, that's the truth. If I take care of just today, do what I'm supposed to do, then tomorrow looks pretty good. But I mean, that's an answer. I can't say what's going to happen for the rest of my life, but. So all in all, it's a spiritual battle.
It is. There's no question of that. No question of that. I want to bring up one thing that, just so the people out there that are listening to it that don't understand some of the advantages of the Narcan now. If they'd had it back then, okay, and you were in Florida, I don't know about Ohio, and they called EMS and the police came, here in Florida, if you have made that call and are providing help for somebody, it could be a room full of people that we're all using. No one gets arrested. Okay? They'll confiscate everything they can. They'll write your names down. They're going to maybe be watching you. But because of the laws that we have here, when you call in to help somebody that's overdosing, that's it.
The Good Samaritan law?
The Good Samaritan law says you can't be held responsible if you're helping somebody.
Yeah.
Okay. But that law goes even further when they come. Let's say you're at a drug house and everybody's using, and somebody overdoses, and they give you, even if they didn't have, but they call for help. EMS gets there, the police get there. Okay. In the past, or maybe as you saw in Ohio, they could have gone through and arrested everybody. Here, if they see paraphernalia, it's going to disappear. If they see any drugs, it's going to go away. Okay? But no one in that house is going to get arrested at that point.
Yeah,
okay?
Yep.
They might look later and say who was doing the supplying. Okay? But they want to encourage people to call for help. Okay? And you can't encourage people to call for help if they think they're going to get arrested for calling for help.
Yeah, there's a story that I can relate to that.
Go ahead.
So up in Ohio, I'm not going to get too personal, too detailed. It's just a point of like how, things have changed and how we can actually help one another. So there was an incident. We were at somewhere we weren't supposed to be, or I wasn't supposed to be. And then so someone went down, they overdosed, and everybody, they didn't want to do anything to help. They were all freaked out, like, oh, we're going to have to call the police and we're going to get charged and we're going to get in trouble. So everybody would just leave, and everybody just was just gone. I didn't want this person to die, so I'd stay there to make sure I didn't have any Narcan. So of course I'd give CPR. I'd make sure this person wasn't going to die. I was the one that called, the ambulance, and then I was the one that was talking to the EMS, let them know what's going on. I'm trying to make sure this person's not going to die. So I know that everybody up there, and then the laws how they were compared to now, like everybody was afraid to call for help because they were going to get in trouble. So now that's and the Good Samaritan law, it's great. So of course the police are going to come in and they're going to make sure everything's all right. But if they see anything sticking out, then yeah, that's a great thing there. So it helps people save lives and kind of just, I don't want to encourage anything, but hey, no one's going to die though.
Right. To explain to the listening, watching audience too, if you don't understand, the Good Samaritan's law here in Florida says if you help somebody, regardless of the results, you can't be held responsible. If somebody is down on the ground and you give them Narcan, even if it wasn't an overdose, you can't be held responsible because you tried to help save a life. That's what they understand. Mm-hmm. That's the key. The other thing is that in general, Narcan, if somebody's down for some other reason, it's not going to have a negative effect on them. I always bring in a little lightness when I talk about Narcan, because it's serious when we're talking about things that you've been going through.
Absolutely.
But I talk about giving people Narcan, they say, well, what if it wasn't the opiate overdose that you were dealing with? I said, well, the major negative effect Narcan can have is Narcan was created in the 50s. And it was created as an anti-constipation drug. So you get in the picture?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So they can die or have diarrhea. Okay? So we're not afraid to give it. Even to a child, it won't have any negative effect. To an animal. And we're finding for kids today, too, with the fentanyl crisis that we're in, they make it into candies. You can pick something up off the ground and put it in your mouth, a kid. They don't know.
It could be everywhere and anything.
So we also advise the public today, don't take anything from anybody, even if it's your best friend, because they might not know where it came from.
Yep.
Okay? Because they're putting fentanyl in everything. I don't understand the business aspect of that, of killing off your business, your potential business, but that's what's happening. The whole world of drugs deals that way. They don't care whether you live or die.
Right.
Okay, what can I get right this minute? So we care.
Yeah.
So educating our community, having the Narcan available, talking to parents so they can have early conversations on it with their kids. And here's something that's not a happy topic for some people to talk about. If you've been in that world of addiction yourself and you have a family, have kids, there has to be a point in time where you let them know.
Yeah.
Because it can go 7 generations forward. Not everybody in those 7 generations is going to have the DNA for addiction, but one person could. And if you don't let them know it, that they control the switch, or to be extra careful, you're not doing them a favor.
Yeah.
So it is a responsibility. And a big part of what you all have been going through in your program is learning about responsibility. So it's one of the things that we have to deal with in going that direction. So we're getting right toward the end of this. So do you have anything closing that you want to make sure that gets out to the people?
I'm very grateful today. I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful for this drug court program. Mike Feldbauer, John Diagardi, drug court coordinator, the judge, they're looking over me like nobody's ever looked over me before. I'm grateful to be in Palm Coast and just have this opportunity to spread the message and some hope. And I was messed up once before, and I had a pretty good childhood. So as of now, I'm just, it's just part of God's plan that I'm just here to be here today and do whatever I can. So shout out to my dad and my girlfriend, my brother, and all the treatment centers that's helped me stay alive before. But for the drug court program, this works, and it's the best program I've ever been through. So yay for me being alive today. And
Excellent. Well, we're really happy to have you here today. You're doing a tremendous job for yourself in the drug court program.
Thank you.
We're looking for your continued success.
Of course.
And happy to have you with us. So have a great day. Thanks, Lyle, for being with us.
All right. Thank you.